Hello, everybody, and welcome to the semifinals for the Mania 4Key World Cup. We have a match with Indonesia versus France coming up as our first match of the day. So, hope you guys are excited as I am, because we're about to get started. Commentators that are going to be joining me are Halogen and Zach. I am Tasha. How you doing, guys?
Doing good.
I guess Halogen is still getting his mic set up. Rip Halogen. I don't hear you. I'm kind of interested to know what you guys think of this match anyway. Like, I'm looking at the stats here from the previous matches. Indonesia had won against Poland 5-0, and France had yeah, because I would lose that right now. I'm still kind of waking up, guys. Give me a little bit of here. Okay, so France actually lost to Japan 5-0. All right, so we're getting into our first warm-up, which is going to be Great Spirits Remix. Looks like we're getting into some speed-up stuff here, as we have some slider velocity changes in the title, so it's going to be fun.
I got an audio test here. Are we working now?
Oh, yes, we are working now. Hello, Halogen.
Hey, how are you? Sorry about that. It's like, you sit here and get everything set up, and you have all your audio devices set, and then it still doesn't work. I mean, that's just the way things go sometimes.
Tell me about it. I had everything, like, ready to go, and then I ended up losing what I was looking for when I was reading it off. I'm like, well, that's great.
Looks like Do Not Mess is having some trouble with those SV changes.
A lot of this stuff, like, I guess it's not so much for Mania, but I mean, when you have speed-ups like that, you kind of have to know they're coming.
Yeah, definitely. When you're doing extended speed sections with extended speed-ups, I mean, typically when you're going faster than normal, you got to have some muscle memory to help keep you alive.
I'd say eventually, though, if like the map starts having a bunch of them, you kind of expect them, though.
Yeah, you
just keep up
to,
with the rhythm.
You begin to acclimate, for sure.
Oh my, some of those, though,
yeah,
are a little bit extreme.
You kind of gotta know they're coming.
It looks like Do Not Mess just gave up and just like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah, really.
Too many.
I wonder if this is a bit of a telling sign that Dream to Nightmare is going to be picked at some point, because, lots of SVs in the Catatonia difficulty.
Definitely could be an indicator of that. So I managed to get all of, like, 30 minutes of sleep.
Try zero.
I was sitting there and I was playing Mario Maker. I'm like, maybe I should actually get like a little bit of sleep. And then I realized what the time was, and then I'm like, I can get like maybe like a 30-minute nap.
I should have slept, but I'm just like, no, screw it.
Yeah, I'm actually really glad I managed to make this match, because it's 7 a.m. local time for this match, and I think it's the same for Zach as well.
It is.
Well, that's the first warm-up. We're going to France, 110,000 point difference between the two teams. Definitely one of those maps, though, where score is not really telling of skill, especially considering if you don't know those are coming, then they can be really troll, I guess.
Quite humorous here. Do Not Mess is actually in the chat. They actually said they were just mashing everything randomly.
Sounds about right.
That's always the best way to play.
Yeah, definitely. if you don't know what if you don't know what's coming up next, just mash the keys. It works every time, guys. And it looks like we do have our next warm-up selected already. It's True Millennium Queen.
Ziff's gotta be proud. This has been used as a warm-up a couple times now.
Yeah, it's actually a really good map too. At least I enjoy it. I can't really play it very well, but
yeah, once you're able to get up there, it's not too bad. It's actually really good on the warm-up side. Gets you really,
I tried to play
really
it
going.
and I told them that I hated it.
Oh, that's so rude. How dare you?
It's okay.
Yep.
He saw the humor in it.
Actually, yeah, hasn't it been Indonesia that's picked us every single time? I think that this has been Indonesia's warm up every time.
Hey, I can't blame them. It's certainly not a bad file to warm up with.
Getting a little bit of lag from some of the players, but it seems to have cleared up now. All the players from France still holding that full combo after a quarter of the song. Indonesia has had all the players miss so far, seem to be struggling a little bit. And as I say that, once the chords come up, everybody from France missing.
Yeah, those chords are pretty heavy. It's tough to keep going, especially if you're not actually completely warm. This might be slightly hard for a completely fresh warm-up, in my opinion, but you never know.
You know, I really actually don't have. I'm a little curious. What do you think these teams are going to end up picking? Sorry about the dogs there. What do you think they're going to end up picking for the actual matches here? I feel like we're probably going to see similar bands to what we've seen already, but
I would not be so sure this time. One thing that I can say, it seemed like, or actually I will say I know how both Brazil and of course the US team played. We basically tried to corner our opponents, which is why Tokyo Teddy Bear and Hesperides, or Hesperides, however you pronounce it, got banned, because they are arguably the easiest maps in the pool. Now, I don't know if Indonesia is going to try to do something similar to that, but I would totally look for songs like Tokyo Teddy Bear, Hesperides, Blue Zenith, stuff like that to be picked by France, because they've got Lim38 on their team, who is an extremely accurate player, and that accuracy edge could help them.
yeah, I mean, you can even see it at the warm up there. Look at the 300 difference between the teams. Just like Lim38 compared to everybody else, definitely the most accurate player out of everybody here.
It's gonna be interesting to see if Indonesia wants to take that risk and try to corner France by removing easier maps and leaving harder maps in the pool, and they're basically gonna, you know, have to play roulette with Lim and see how well his accuracy carries into harder stuff.
One of the things that you can definitely take away from that warm up though is Xkagi and Toastry. I hope I got you guys' names right. Seem to have a little bit of trouble with like the jumping jacks in that song. So like it could come into play when we see these maps coming up, I believe. Anyway,
Yeah, definitely.
go ahead.
When,
What kind of maps-
When you mention, I'm sorry.
I keep interrupting. I'm sorry. I'm out of this. I was just gonna ask, like, what kind of maps do you think that would come up that would actually cause this kind of issue for those players, like if they were bad at jumping jacks?
That's a really good question. Okay, so you've got Cyberstorm, which is just completely laced with jumps everywhere, and there are a ton of jacks that are just implicitly created, so that's extremely tiring. Yukiona has some alternating jump jacks where you have 2 hits on each hand back and forth on the 1, 2, and 3, 4 columns, landing into quads, so that's really tricky. There's a couple of songs here that have tests in terms of really fast jumps, jacks, chords, etc. And if Xkagi and Todestream are having issues on those, you can probably best believe they're going to have those same issues on these songs, because in many cases, they are actually faster than what you're seeing in True Millennium Queen.
Now, you're obviously a more experienced player than me, so I actually have to ask here. For songs that are like streams mixed in with jumps like repeatedly. Would that kind of play in the same way if you had to deal with a lot of jumps mixed into the streams?
If the tempo is high enough and you have taps in between running jumps, like if you have a 1/4 snap stream, so 4 notes every beat, and then you have a jump every 4 notes or even every 2 notes in between, if the tempo starts getting higher, you're getting very close to the motion of actually having to do jacks in your hands just to keep up with the streams. Thankfully, I don't think we have that problem in this particular map pool. I think the closest that you would get is John Tanaka's theme, which runs at a constant 250 BPM, so any repeated taps that happen as a result of streaming would be 125 BPM jacks, which is not too unmanageable.
Alright, and actually, one of those maps being banned out here. So France banned out NS18 and John Tanaka's theme, and Indonesia banned out Dream to Nightmare and Wanderlust. The role winner was Indonesia, so they will get the first map selection here, so we're going to have to see what they pick.
And yet again, by one team, we have an NS18 and John Tanaka banned. That has been a very, very common theme this tournament, and not surprisingly so, because those two are very, very hard.
Isn't that the first ban for Wanderlust, though?
It is, and I'm not sure if that was the first ban for Dream to Nightmare as well. Because I know the first 2 matches between Brazil and South Korea and the US and Japan, the bans were exactly the same, and I don't think Dream to Nightmare was banned in the 3rd match.
First selection is going to be Hold Angel.
We see a swap in here. Flame Maroon now playing for the Indonesian team. France keeping their original team.
We've actually seen this one a few different times now. I feel like with the players in this match, if it's not like, it's pretty like heavy stream stuff, but I mean there's no like really, really difficult like jacks, so I guess it kind, or not jacks, jumps, so I guess it kind of feels like this would be a good map selection for both of these teams, especially with the players that are weak on those kind of things.
Yeah, definitely. This is actually a really good contrast to Cyberstorm, because both Hold Angel and Cyberstorm run at 300 BPM, but Cyberstorm is heavy on the jumps and heavy layering, whereas Hold Angel is very heavy on the streaming. So this is going to be an interesting run here.
All right, and we are getting into it, guys. Indonesia versus France, first match.
Got the penultimate question here with France having a really, really high tier accuracy player. You have to wonder if Lim's accuracy is going to carry through these 300 BPM streams. We haven't even gotten to the main stream sections, and Tota Stream's already dropping a little bit of accuracy.
With these kind of streams, like if you mess up even once, it can be really hard to recover from it.
Yeah, absolutely. These streams are 20 notes per second, and that's just if they were, single note streams. So any jumps in there completely increase that note per second count. So these streams are certainly not easy.
Yeah, I saw France had an early lead there, and then Indonesia took it back.
Lim took a really, really serious drop there. His percentage was hovering at 99 for quite some time, and now he's sitting at upper 97% range. Adrian now carrying the team a little bit here with his accuracy, even though Lim has a slightly higher score for now.
It seems what's really hurting is Tota Stream's accuracy.
Yeah, definitely. Looks like Tota Stream's not equipped to handle these streams. He's definitely struggling through the more extended streams. He's hitting the burst streams alright, though. Or the sprints, we'll call them that.
Yeah, he seems to be down by a good 100,000 points.
And that's a shame, too, because with him being down about 100,000 points from the rest of his team and the lead being less than 100,000, you can definitely attribute that deficit there to be why France is falling behind a bit.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's actually going to be that match going to Indonesia. Tota Stream falling a little behind the team, as you guys were saying, and really costing them here.
Yeah, that was quite a decisive victory, about 80,000 points here. Everybody on the Indonesia team, or not quite everybody, but very close to 900,000 points for everybody on the team, whereas Tota Stream barely hangs on at 800K.
when you look at it, Lim and Adrian actually beat Elsa and Flameruin for like their scores. So like Lim beat out Flameruin and Adrian beat out Elsa, but unfortunately Toadstream just couldn't keep up with Do Not Mess there to make that a win for them.
Yeah, and a point-for-point matchup there. Toadstream's deficit against Do Not Mess was just too much.
I feel like these two teams, despite like maybe not like, you know, they're not performing as well as like what we've seen like in the last couple matches, but I feel like they're pretty even from what we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool to watch. We've got a pretty good variety of maps here. We're gonna see how the scores start shifting around.
So Indonesia winning on their pick, France picking beat New World here to possibly go for a comeback on this, get the score tied up.
This is a really good pick. If I'm not mistaken, Lim is actually known really, really well as somebody who can do long notes really well, and there's a lot of them in here. Just received a question in the chat. How many matches do you think NS18 and John Tanaka's are going to be banned? Honestly, I'm not sure. I'm surprised that it's gotten full ban rate so far. I would have figured that somebody would have wanted to do it.
I'll be honest, if it was banned out by US Japan, I don't know if we're going to end up seeing it from any other teams.
The first two matches were a very interesting counterexample, though, because it was basically each team banning each other's maps rather than trying to protect themselves. Coming into the halfway point of this map here, and France has a very slight lead. Lim doing a very good job holding a 99.91% through some of these really complicated long note patterns.
Yeah, you can definitely see this is France's pick. Lim 38 and Toadstream here just really picking up weight compared to the last match there. Flameruin and Elsa seem to be, while they are holding high accuracies, have missed and do seem to be having a little bit harder time holding their accuracy in comparison.
Yeah, they're being outclassed here, and a really good job by Toadstream. After his earlier showing, he's definitely doing a much better job on this map. He's keeping France, or he's helping keeping that France lead very, very strong. So we're hitting about 30,000 points now.
Yeah, and as we approach the end of this song, it looks like if France doesn't drop here, this is going to be a point for them. Yeah, and a very solid point for France there with a 40,000 point lead. Lim being the only player on France's side to get the full combo. Do Not Mess getting full combo for Indonesia.
Really, really solid 996k score by Lim there, and this is the point-for-point matchup that should have happened on Hold Angel here. You've got Lim beating out, well, Elsa and Do Not Mess actually performed very close in that one. But Toadstream beating out Flameruin, the solid player, by about 24,000 points. The solid player, excuse me.
Yeah, with Lim being the highest score out of all that, like if you look at it, it's basically like the first, second, and third for France beat the first, second, and third for Indonesia. So it was just a flat-out win from all angles in that one. See how Indonesia retaliates here as we wait for their next pick.
I'd be looking for another speed-oriented pick here. I would not be surprised if we see something like Cyberstorm, or maybe they want to go the technical route and do Quietus Ray.
Wonder if we'll end up seeing Blue Zenith from these guys. Oh no, it looks like we're gonna get V cubed here. V3.
Speed and technical. This is a really, really rough map.
Yeah, it's got a lot of tricky snapping from what I can tell too.
This map is the epitome of a really, really good tournament file. It's got really tricky snaps. It's got all sorts of patterns. I mean, you've got walls, you've got jump streams, you've got speed changes, bursts, trills, jacks. There's nothing untouched here. You can't just be really strong on one particular skill set and get away with it on this map because it will hurt you.
Yeah, and it does get pretty fast too. So I feel like that's playing into Indonesia's strengths there, as we've seen they do seem to be a bit stronger with speed files. Miss from Do Not Mess, but otherwise strong start from both teams, and we're soon going to be getting to the speed up here.
I think that France is going to need to buffer a reasonable amount of points here because this speed up is probably going to take a little bit of a hit out of their lead. We'll see here. Wow, all three players holding a full combo past that first speed up. That was a really good job by all three of them there, and they're actually keeping their lead intact.
It's still really close though. This could still go to Indonesia, especially with another third of the song to go.
Ooh, is that a drop by Toadastream? It looks like it was. And we're hitting the last stretch of the song here, and there's only about an 11,000 point lead by France. They could get caught here.
And just like that, Indonesia is ahead. It is really close right now. This could still go to France, but it is so close. Oh no, that drop, the drops there from France, that is just, oh no, that's no good for them at all. That is going to be a point for Indonesia. It was,
just cannot keep up.
It was really close though. I mean, like if France had held it just a moment longer, they would have actually beaten Indonesia on their pick.
Yeah, they were actually keeping up surprisingly well with how fast some of those ending patterns were. I wasn't expecting France to hold their own as long as they did there. That was a really, really good push, but unfortunately just not enough to hold down the Indonesian team.
Elsa's slower there, and Toadstream having issues holding consistency on that song was the main causes of Indonesia winning that one there. Toadstream only player that was actually below 900,000, and Elsa with a very impressive 950,000 plus.
Yeah, it's looking like this could be a very interesting match.
I'm going to assume this was a France pick.
This is indeed a France pick.
Yes, it is.
This does not surprise me at all. We should be watching for Lim here. He's going to probably try to build a really, really substantial accuracy against the Indonesia team. I'm not sure who's going to try to step up and match him point for point here. It's going to be a match that's probably going to be decided with mistakes that are just really, really slight.
France really has to win this one though, because getting that additional point for Indonesia is going to make this a very hard match for them, especially when the picks get less and less. Like there's more and more options, or less and less options for picks. So they're going to have to pick the faster stuff that they might want to avoid.
Looking like we're going to have a swap here on Indonesia. Is it going to be X-Kagi coming back in here, maybe?
Might be. Flame Rune leaving out here.
Flame Rune did a good job holding their own on the speed maps. I'm wondering if X-Kagi's more of a controlled player, someone who's got respectable accuracy compared to Flame Rune. Let's see who gets brought in here.
And it looks like it is going to be X-Kagi, and we're getting started right away with this, going into the fourth match. So what would you say the parts to look out for in this map are?
This map opens out with an extremely dense stream. It actually is about to start right now. And once you get past this dense stream, the main feature of this map is there are a lot of jump trills. Some of them are actually split-handed, so what that means is you're basically doing one-handed trills on both hands to sustain the jumps, so that could be a really big accuracy determinant here for who wins this match. It's going to be all on control. Oh my, and just like that, Adrian and Toadistry both dropping on a split-handed jump trill. Everybody on the Indonesian team still holding a full combo. If none of them break, that score is going to start to widen that score gap.
There's still a fair amount of the song to go, though. There's still 2/3 of the song left. Another one of those heavy streams coming up here. Oh, we're getting drops all over the place. XKagi, Elsa, Lim38, and Toadstream all missing there. Only Adrian
XKagi
do not
took
miss.
a very serious percentage drop there, down to 97.8 after the end of that stream.
Do not mess, though. It's still holding 100%. Actually doing exceptionally well right now. Just dropped 100%, but even so, 99.98% accuracy.
Yeah, definitely, and the highest player out of all of the teams right now by a pretty decent margin. Do Not Mess is really helping carry the Indonesian team right now. We've got about a 20,000 point gap in their favor, and we're starting to hit the last part of the song here. There's not too much that's hard remaining in this song.
Do Not Mess is definitely holding the lead for Indonesia here, but Adrian is actually doing quite well himself. With a score that's actually not that far from Do Not Mess's. About 10K behind.
A little less than that, actually. Between them two, it's about 5,000 to 6,000 only.
There is only about a 20,000 score difference between these two teams, and with XKagi missing like this, that might end up changing very fast.
That gap is closing. It's getting very close now, but there's not too much left in the song here. Lim38 and Adrian keeping their combo. They are trying to chase the Indonesian team down with what little they have left. This score gap is super close.
It is so close. Elsa missed.
Oh, those scores are flashing. Here we go.
Oh,
it's
man.
swapping here.
Look at that
that
score
was
difference.
really close.
Oh my.
Oh my goodness. Less than 2,000 points.
That could have been easily decided by one less miss from any player on France, really. It was that close. Really impressive play, though, from Do Not Mess, getting the full combo. Adrian on France's side with a really impressive score as well, just one miss. Overall, that was just, I don't know, man. That was a really close match.
Also, major respect to Elsa actually beating out Lim38's accuracy. You don't see that too often in this tournament here. Only 290 regular 300s versus Lim's 322. Might go to show a little bit of a void in terms of skill sets there.
Do Not Mess as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, Do Not Mess was pretty close to passing Lim38 on accuracy, too.
Yeah. This is a really tough spot being down 3-1 now because they not only lost their pick, but Indonesia is going to get a chance at their own pick now, and they could potentially extend that lead 4-1. And you'd best believe that their next pick is probably not going to be as forgiving as Tokyo Teddy Bear.
I feel like we're going to probably see something like Cyberstorm.
Yeah, Cyberstorm seems like a reasonably viable pick here. There's also a couple maps we haven't seen much of. Like, I wouldn't mind, as much as my personal dislikes for the map, I would not mind seeing Angel Dust being picked, just so we could see how the players handle themselves.
Angel Dust is actually, it's a DMS map, isn't it?
Yeah, and it definitely reflects on the 4-key map. I mean, Lane tried to just squeeze absolutely everything he could in that map. 4 keys, we don't care. We're going to try to squeeze absolutely everything we can.
Welcome to BMS.
Also, there's some people here who apparently had the MP link open, but we saw the gap as about 1,500 or so, but they're saying that the gap was only by about 150.
Oh,
I called it! I called it! Angel Dust just gets picked by the Indonesian team.
And it looks like there's also being a player swap here. Xcoggy leaving here. I'm guessing we're going to see Flame come back here.
There will be a secret weapon, maybe? Someone we don't know? Yeah, I expect it to be Flame Rune to come back.
Yeah, and it is Flame Rune who is coming back for this next match. So as you were saying, this is Angel Dust, BMS map. Lots of stuff in here. Anything that we should particularly be looking for?
Oh man, this map is just, it is really hard. There's layering, I mean, it's so heavily layered. There are mini jacks, jacks everywhere. There's a lot of short 1/8 snap bursts in here too. It's just, this is a really, really nasty map to play. It's really tough.
So
and
basically
in a tournament setting, I would be afraid to have to play something like this because there's going to be misses everywhere. There's not, I very, very highly doubt we're going to see any full combos here in this map.
I mean, we have been seeing a lot of misses on the harder maps here, so I can definitely agree with you on that. And with this being Angel Dust, it's pretty likely that we're going to see a lot of misses here too.
If France manages to take this, this could be the morale shift that they need to try to bring the match back here. But if Indonesia takes this, France is going to be down 4-1, and it's going to be really tough to come back from that kind of momentum on the Indonesian team.
Yeah, and like I said, there's going to be less and less picks for them to select that are going to be in their favor. That's the one thing, like, if you're a team that's not really good at, like, speed maps and the map pool is filled with a lot of things like that, it can be a little hard to win against teams that are really strong in that kind of stuff. Unless you can win on stuff that you're very good on early.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, France hasn't won all of their picks, unfortunately, and that's a little bit tricky for them, too. You know, that's got to be a bit demoralizing, being that they have their songs that they're strategically trying to pick here, and they aren't winning them all.
I mean, they've only lost on one of their picks so far, but that can be all it takes.
Yep.
Anyway, guys, we should be getting started here shortly, so just please be patient. While we're waiting, I'll fill you guys in on the upcoming matches here. So, after Indonesia versus France, we are going to have China versus the United Kingdom, and followed by Malaysia versus Argentina.
Oh my, China versus the UK. That's going to be one heck of a match to watch.
Kind of excited, not gonna lie. I've been hearing a lot of hype for China, and I want to see it.
Yeah, I'm expecting China to pull off some crazy stuff.
I'm so, you know, so shocked at how well the Chinese team is performing, and this is not me trying to down their skill or anything, but they didn't have much of a presence before the Mania World Cup started, and then they get seeded as top seed, and they just start stampeding through the tournament bracket. Is, you know, everything in their way, they've just been knocking out of the park. I think it's almost been clean sweeps. I know they had a couple of losses here or there that might have been related to either disconnections or something involving that, but Crazy Sword and Crazy June are both really, really strong players, and they seem to have very low bounds as to what they can't do.
All right, and it looks like we are finally getting into the 5th match here.
This map gives such a false sense of security. It starts off really tame, and it holds itself pretty quietly for the first 500 or so nodes, and then it starts to pick up and get really uncomfortable.
Throws in a couple of long notes too with some 1-6. It's a little bit tricky, at least for me, hit 1-6 while holding long notes.
And it looks like Indonesia has an early lead on this one.
Those bursts are actually 1/8 snaps.
Oh, are they?
In addition to holds. Yep.
Well, rip me, I'd never be able to do that.
And here we go, starting to get a little bit more of a taste of the BMS style layering here. Some more jacks, bursts coming in between. It's starting to get really uncomfortable. Adrian doing, oh, just as I said that.
And in Indonesia, their lead just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And once again, a large part of it is that Toadistream just cannot pick it up.
Those split jumping jacks, though, or split hand jumping jacks, though, that was, or sorry, not jumping jacks, trills were catching a lot of people there. A lot of people were actually missing on that.
His weakness definitely appears to be like speed-heavy maps.
And unfortunately, there's not too much relief in sight here because you just got to do it all over again.
These kind of maps are just basically a giant wave of have fun. You're gonna have sore fingers by the end of it.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Sore fingers, sore wrists. All par for the course here. And hitting the little interlude here, Indonesia with an 170,000 point lead almost. I mean, this is just pretty clear here.
Yeah, definitely not looking for France. It's a bit of a shame. They were doing pretty good at the beginning, and then it just kind of went downhill from there. Yeah, and with a 175,000 point lead, that is going to be a point for Indonesia. As we are already saying, no player is missing, but look at the difference in misses between the two teams. There was like 20, 22, and 35 from Indonesia, and then everybody from France is just tons of misses, other than Adrian, who actually had the second lowest miss count. Looks like we already have our next selection from France. It's going to be Hesperides. I actually kind of like this song, so I'm kind of glad they picked it.
Yeah, Hesperides is a pretty good song. I definitely enjoy it. It's very melodic. It's really active. It's got a good pace. I could see France potentially getting some steam back here because this is arguably one of the easier maps in the pool, and Lim is going to be able to put that super strong accuracy into play here for sure.
France is definitely going to have to win this one if they want to stand a chance, because if they get that match point on Indonesia, then that's going to make things really tough.
Yeah, agreed. If Indonesia ends up winning this here, they're going to have complete control over how they want to end this match because they'll be 5-1 and they can just unload something extremely fast. They already have seen that they've got a pretty massive advantage in that department here.
And I mean, even if France ends up getting, like, you know, ends up tying it up 5-5, do you really think that at this point France would be able to win on the tiebreaker? I mean, it's still possible, but it seems like right now France is in a really tough spot.
Well, here's the thing. The tiebreaker tests consistency because of how long it is, and the map itself isn't quite as forceful as some of the stuff you see in the semifinals. It is tough to combo, but I think that it would be somewhat of an accuracy battle, interestingly enough. I just don't know how much of one it would be, and it's really hard to speculate given that the tiebreaker doesn't seem feasible given the current score situation here.
I'm hoping we end up seeing the tiebreaker at least once here.
Yeah, it's a very nerve-wracking tiebreaker. Extremely long, 6 minutes plus. I mean, it doesn't get any better for that.
Now, I ended up missing the very first match of the day, Brazil versus South Korea. Did that end up going to Brazil?
It did. It was 6-1 in favor of Brazil.
All right, so in that case, whoever wins this match will continue on in the brackets for winners bracket, or sorry, losers bracket. Okay, so they'll continue on in the losers bracket, and they will face off against South Korea later on today.
Brazil won it 6-1.
Oh, right. I keep thinking winners bracket. That's why I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, that's got to be a losers bracket thing. My mind is set. Thank you for the correction. So yes, they will be facing off against Brazil.
Yep.
This is one of those times that I regret not drinking coffee.
Oh, I have coffee just sitting here in my pot. I just haven't gotten up to have any yet. That miss by TotaStream hurting France a little bit here, but the accuracy's keeping it at least reasonably close. TotaStream's got to start hanging on a bit. All three players on Indonesia still holding a full combo, but their accuracy isn't quite as strong as France, because even with the drop combo, the scores are very, very close.
Yeah, this is actually still anybody's match here.
That drop by Lim, that's a really painful drop to have to take right there. Both Flame Rune and Do Not Mess holding their combo at the end of that scale there, that 1/8 snap roll, and they're just steaming right along here.
Miss from Lim 38 and Flame Rune, so that kind of evened itself out. It is still really close, but with another miss from TotaStream, that's really not helping. Oh no! Oh, don't tell me he disconnected. Don't let it end that way.
That one's gotta hurt.
Yeah, disconnect over there by TotaStream, but to be completely fair, the score gap between the scores now as it stands is about 960,000, so it's pretty likely that that would not have mattered.
I'm just checking right now to see if the score did submit, but yeah, as you said, it looks like it's pretty unlikely that France would win this, even if that score was submitted.
Bands ZX, the other match in the winners bracket is China versus the United Kingdom. That's actually coming up next.
Alright, so according to TotaStream, it was a disconnect, so that score did not go through.
That's rather unfortunate to take the loss that way.
Us to match point.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that we have to have that rule, but unfortunately it's needed to keep the tournament going and to prevent people abusing it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a fair rule. And I am not surprised that this was just picked, because this was probably an Indonesia pick here.
Yeah, this was an Indonesia pick. That last one was France's.
Given how poorly France did on Angel Dust, this does not surprise me one bit, because this is very much a similar charting style. The song's a little bit slower, but there are just a lot of jacks, really heavy layering. There's even some really nasty bursts here, and it's going to be exceptionally difficult for France to even make any sort of comeback here.
Well, France is going to have to give it their all, but it is definitely looking like an Indonesia win. France, see if you can prove me wrong.
You made a comment about this earlier, but I mean, this is a very clear-cut case of what happens when you just start running thin from choices that are really good for your team here. Indonesia's got a lot of this map pool handled because they're really fast, and they're also really good at jacks and heavy layering here, and France is pretty much just cornered. There's not much they can do about this.
Yeah, I mean, they ran out of maps that they could win on as well. I mean, they won the first one, but after that, it just got progressively worse. Though, I will say that the matches were pretty close on their maps.
Yeah, we had one particular match where the scores were just flashing all over the place up until the very, very end.
But unfortunately, close scores does not equal a point, and those points did go to Indonesia. It's just not looking good. Indonesia on their pick and match point, so the win here will move them further into the losers bracket to face off against Brazil.
I would hate to be up against Brazil in this particular round.
I think it would be scarier to be up against Brazil in the finals. But yeah, I mean, even like facing off against them, you know, in this set of maps is going to be tough.
So now, a quick question for you guys. There are two sets of matches being played with the same map pool, am I correct?
Yes, the finals and grand finals both have the same map pool.
I'm talking about regards to this particular map pool, since I know we have a couple of matches involving Brazil and I believe some other losers bracket team. Are they going to be playing the semifinals pool, or are they going to be playing the finals map pool?
For the semifinals league?
Yeah. Is this? Oh yeah. I guess they're doing two matches in this stage then.
Well, if you're looking at the wiki, the red matches are the encounters dependent on the result of the green matches that happened on Saturday. So not all of the matches that are in red there actually end up happening.
Yeah, I believe only two of them happen because they're just basically listing all the potential times here.
Yeah.
Enough about my confusion here. Do Not Mess and Lim actually holding a pretty solid score here. Actually, France is keeping up really well.
Misses from Xkagi and Toadstream at the same time, and miss from Elsa as well. This is actually giving France a point. They're pulling ahead a little bit here.
Yeah, France is definitely showing they don't want to be out just yet.
They are putting up a really solid fight here.
Misses from 4 players there. Do Not Mess and Adrian still holding up on that full combo.
Yeah, it looks like France is falling behind finally.
Yeah, they're starting to hit about a 30,000 point gap here as the chart starts to turn a little bit more nasty here with a lot of jumps, jacks, everything. It starts to give you the nice little well-rounded destruction here.
Yeah, Toadstream just cannot hold the combo here.
Yeah, I mean, that section is just hitting them so hard. Look at how many misses they're getting now. They were holding pretty good combos before, but now it's just everybody's having troubles holding combo. And accuracy is just dropping too. Toadstream actually fell below 92%. And that is going to be match Indonesia taking this 6-1 against France. France is eliminated from the tournament, and Indonesia will move on to face off against Brazil later on today.
Regardless, though, I'd say it's still impressive that France made it all the way to the semifinals.
I mean, they definitely did good. I mean, any team that can make it this far is definitely worthy of respect in my eyes.
Yeah, that was a very good showing by the France team for sure. Did France actually play in the previous World Cup?
I unfortunately did not see the previous World Cup, so I'm not 100% sure.
Fair enough.
Apologies for that.
Hey, no problem there. I had to ask myself.
All right, guys, so we have about 10 minutes until the next match is going to be China versus the United Kingdom. Hope to see you guys. Looking forward to that match. While we're waiting for that match, though, if you guys have any questions for the commentators, just in case you're not sure who the commentators are, it is Tasha, Zach, and Halejin. Feel free to ask in the Twitch chat. We will answer any questions that are appropriate.
I'm going to take a very brief intermission while I get myself a cup of coffee.
All right.